Hello, everyone. This is Tom Fox, and I'd like to welcome you to the Daily Compliance News. The Daily Compliance News is an offering of the Compliance Podcast Network. May 30, 2019, the Is a Spanking Coming edition. First up, in probably no surprise, Mark Cuban, in an interview with Yahoo Financial, said that the Securities and Exchange Commission is useless and brings ridiculous lawsuits against investors. Cuban is well known for having fought the SEC at trial and won. He said that the SEC and its tactics are bullying and unmoored from government law and precedent. He went on to further say, had the SEC really wanted to make the market safer, they would publish bright guidelines. For instance, there's no specific law on insider trading. The only legal precedents that we have are as a result of cases the SEC brought. If you're an investor, you have no idea. Unfortunately for Mr. Cuban, he has no idea how the law works. That's how the law works. You bring cases and it gets interpreted by the courts. Next up, the state of Massachusetts has fined Wynn Resorts $35 million, and a separate $500,000 fine was levied by the Massachusetts Gaming Commission against Matt Maddox. The company will not appeal the decision, but what I found most interesting about it is the decision requires the company to appoint an independent monitor to review Wynn Resorts' policies and organizational changes for the last 3 years. Now, this is a state regulatory body, the State Gaming Commission in Massachusetts, where Wynn Casinos is attempting to keep its license that it previously procured to have a casino there. The decision comes after the commission has decided to allow the casino operator to retain its license. Nevertheless, this can be a powerful tool, having an independent integrity monitor come in and do this assessment for the state regulators. Certainly unique for a state regulator, and kudos to the state of Massachusetts Gaming Commission for coming up with this. Next up, Frederick Pierucci continues his personal attack against the Department of Justice and the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act with his continued claim that the U.S. uses long-arm jurisdiction as a weapon to stymie competition and that other countries need to join hands to counter such unilateral practice. What's interesting is that this was to a interview to a Chinese language newspaper, and it clearly portends the Chinese getting ready to attack U.S. efforts to enforce U.S. laws. For those who've forgotten, Mr. Pierucci had freely admitted to engaging in bribes on behalf of Alston, but he said, it was just a bribe. Why should I have to pay for it? So interesting further comments. And finally, a federal judge has ordered Carnival Cruise Lines top executives to court. This is in connection with the company's failure to live up to its deferred prosecution agreement. The U.S. government and Carnival have come up with a solution which they're going to present to the court, and the court's going to determine if it's sufficient. I would only say that if senior executives have been ordered to court, it ain't going to be good. The judge's antipathy for Carnival is well known, so watch this space. Finally, I'm extraordinarily pleased to announce a new show which will premiere on the Compliance Podcast Network in the month of June. It will be Trekking Through Compliance, compliance lessons from the original series of Star Trek. I'm going to do the entire TOS oeuvre over the next 79 days. I hope you will check in. It will be a short 5-minute podcast each day with compliance lessons from each episode. It will be a ton of fun.